What's good, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Seals Pod here. Thanks to the fine folks at Zoom. My name's Teddy Jenner, and I'm joined this week by Nick Damude and Frank Scigliano, your goaltenders for the San Diego Seals. Fellas, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good.
Teddy,
Frankie,
thanks for having us.
Yeah, no worries, man. We can't really see you. You're out of the bathroom, but you're in a truck. Everything okay?
Yeah, I sent Moody a picture of me probably 20 minutes ago, and that's probably as much video as we'll see of me. But no, doing well, and happy we can do this.
Absolutely. You are a plumber by trade at home. Obviously, probably very busy these times without lacrosse.
Yeah, staying busy and staying safe. Like most guys in this league, we all have other secondary jobs, and plumbing is what I'm doing. Yeah, been doing a lot with the plumbing career in the last little bit with the time away, but no, it's been good.
Nick, what have you been up to since March of last year?
I got home, was kind of hoping there'd be a summer season. That didn't really pan out, but started working, and then I'm back in school now, so hasn't really been too exciting, but that's about it.
What are you taking in school?
I'm in school for electrical engineering.
So maybe you and Frankie can kind of like come together and create
maybe a little business in the future out in San Diego.
Yeah.
Hey, if we're doing it in San Diego, I'm in, Moody.
Moody, you were living in San Diego last year as a bunch of the guys made that trek down to the sunshine. What did you like about living down there with the guys and kind of really being a part of the family that the Seals are building down there?
I mean, obviously the weather, that's probably the best thing about moving from Canada down to San Diego, but obviously having a bunch of guys around, and we had knock around field there. So we go get shots all the time. We always got to hang out. We went jet skiing a couple times, went out for breakfast, always doing stuff. So it was nice. Obviously I miss it down there, miss being with those guys.
Obviously, growing up here in Canada, we played a lot of lacrosse outdoors in the boxes in summer. Frankie, how much fun was that for you being in a knock around field, just playing outdoor lacrosse again?
No, I think it's a surreal experience. It's something that you don't really get to experience around this league. And for a kid that grew up in BC, and when I was first introduced to box lacrosse, literally there was a box across the street from my house, and I had no idea what the sport was. And I remember first touching down on knockaround for the first time, even in our first season, and being able just to kind of look up and you're outside. It makes you feel like a kid a little bit, right? It's a different feeling.
Those sunsets out there were phenomenal.
Yeah, I bet. Did you guys ever throw the sunglasses on underneath the mask because it was a little too bright?
I got a field bucket, so I got just some extra tilt, block my
yeah, Moody always gets thrown in the side with all the sun with the cascade on.
Have you always been a field bucket guy, Nick?
Yeah, pretty much whole life. I've tried hockey helmets. I don't know. they feel weird to me. Yeah. Maybe one day I'll make the switch and get a custom helmet, but for now I'm stuck with the cascade.
We'll get Frankie to set you up with his mask guy. I heard he's got a good one.
Yeah, I have a couple of helmets for sure. Helmets are a way that we can kind of express ourselves, right? And with a hockey mask, sometimes you can kind of put a little spin on things. That's something you wouldn't be able to do with something not as customized. But no, that's something that definitely the goalies get to make their own.
You mentioned growing up back in BC, you're a Coquitlam guy by native, but you really made your name playing for the New Westminster Junior Salmon Bellies. How did that come about, being a Coquitlam guy and flipping over to become a Salmon Belly?
Yeah, that was quite a long time ago. I had a good 4 years at the New West. I grew up a Coquitlam kid, and I played 1 year of Inter and Coquitlam, and the team won provincials, and I think I got MVP and first team all-star. And, I kind of asked if my time would come to, try and start my junior career with Coquitlam. And, that didn't really seem to kind of be in the plans at that time. They were pushing, and I ended up in New West and with a team and an organization that has a lot of history. And, I really appreciate my time with that franchise, and playing on that wood floor is something not a lot of people get to do. And every time I go back there, I, always want to play a good game.
Nick, you're a St. Catharines guy. The Double Blue is another historic junior program in Canada. You're done your junior career now, but you guys had a pretty talented team in your last year. How close were you guys, do you think, to really making a run for that Minto Cup?
I mean, if you ask everybody in the room, we think, we could have won it all. Just didn't pan out. We took a rough injury at the end of the year with one of our best guys, and we fought hard, but it just didn't turn out. But we had a stacked team. There's going to be a bunch of future NLL guys coming out of there, the team that we had, and there's a bunch of current NLL guys that on the team. Latrell Harris has been playing in the league for how long when we were in junior, so it's just been.
Is it pretty remarkable how he was able to make that jump as such a young player into the NLL, or is he just that good?
I mean, anybody that knows him, and I've played with him almost my whole life, it doesn't overly surprise me, but he's been throwing kids around our age, and once we got into junior, he was throwing kids around that were 4 or 5 years older than him. So he's just always been a beast, and he's going to be great for a lot of years in the future, and he's great now.
How did you get into goaltending, Nick? Were you one of those kids that was, it was your turn to play goal and you just kind of liked it? Were you thrown in goal because they needed somebody?
My dad was actually a goalie, so I always wanted to be one, but my parents never really wanted me to, just the extra expense. And my mom obviously doesn't like the idea of balls getting thrown at me, but we were I was trying out for an A team, and I don't think I had any chance of making the team as a player at all. And I think there was only one goalie trying out, and the coach came in the room after one of the tryouts and asked if there was anybody who wanted to play goalie, and I just shot my hand up, got the equipment, and then it's kind of just been history since then.
Frankie, what about you?
Yeah, pretty similar situation for me. I think I'd only been playing lacrosse for 2 years before I started playing goalie. I think the first year I played house, like C ball as a player, and the next year they had the novice advanced team, and that was kind of the team that all my buddies were playing on. And they basically said, well, if you want to play on this team, you got to play half goalie, half player. And I kind of stuck to that. And as we got later on in the year, I remember they have the Jack Crosby tournament in Burnaby, which is a pretty famous one. And they said, well, if you want to be on the team, you got to play goalie. And yeah, the rest is kind of history there. I never really came out of the crease after that.
What was Frankie the out player like?
Yeah, I want to know that too.
I wasn't very good. Back in the day, I wasn't the best. One thing I could say is that I was always sticking up for my teammates, even as a youngster. I remember one point vividly, when you're playing house, you play with boys and girls. And I remember I had a girl on my team, and she took a cross check into the boards. And I remember being the first one in there to go and try and grab the kid to get him off of her. But no, it was a short playing career. I played a lot of out in field lacrosse in high school and stuff like that. But no, I find my home in the crease.
You do venture outside of the crease from time to time. I do remember you squaring off with Aaron Bold in an exhibition game a couple years ago.
Yeah, that's taken it back a couple years now with my days in Calgary. And, once in a while that gets pulled up for a good laugh. But, Boldy's a great guy. And yes, there's a good rivalry between those two squads, Calgary and Saskatchewan, and blood just boiled over, and that's part of the game sometimes.
You've been with the Seals now since the inception in the last couple of years. Who do you think the Seals' biggest rival is right now?
Right now, I think I'd probably say Van. They're someone who always tries to play us with a chip on their shoulder, and we've had some good games back and forth, and they've given it to us in our home barn. So I'd say there's a good little back and forth going on there right now.
In that overtime game, how cool was it to see Brody Merrill streaking down coast to coast to score that overtime winner? Was it in slow motion from the floor, did it look like?
No, when Brody takes off, he's usually going to the cage in a situation like that. And, I remember watching that highlight, and it was in Vancouver. I think I had 60 people or something like that sitting behind our bench. And when he scored, they just erupted, and there's no better feeling than that.
Nick, what was the view like from the bench?
I couldn't see after everybody just started celebrating. The whole bench was going crazy. I think that was our first win of the year, so It was just phenomenal.
Nick, when you mentioned, you kind of got thrust into the position, but as you got more comfortable playing the game, what goalies were you watching to kind of help yourself get better, and who did you idolize?
I mean, obviously, I think there's only one choice, being a St. Catharines guy. I mean, Matt Vince I've been watching him play since I was a kid, and he's won 3 Minto Cups. I think he's won how many Man Cups? I think he's won everything there is to win. So, but just how athletic he is, and he just makes saves look easy that are hard. And just watching him, obviously, that was an advantage from me being from St. Catharines. I don't know how much more I can say about him.
When you got drafted to Rochester and you end up kind of being his third, how special of a moment was that?
It was, at the start, that was the year he went to Buffalo. So okay. He was there when I got drafted, so I was super pumped. I was gonna play behind Matt Vince and get to see what he's like up front, and see, be near him, just ask him questions, whatever. And then he left, so that kind of sucked. But it's still for a chance, maybe I could say I was on a team with him for a bit.
Absolutely. Frankie, when you got to Calgary, you had to sit behind, Matt King and Mike Poulin and Nick Rose were there before you, and you had to abide your time. How frustrating was that as a goalie that had a lot of confidence to kind of not be able to shine in those first few years?
Yeah, for sure. There's obviously, growing pains in this league. You got to pay your dues, and, in the goalie position, it's kind of hard for us because, we play summer ball where you're allowed to use a different stick. We play in a different net. And then you come into the pros and you're forced to use a small stick, and you're playing in a big net with smaller equipment. And that's no injustice to anyone, but it just makes it a little different when you're younger, right? And you're used to certain things. But when I came into Calgary, there was Pooley and Rosie had just got picked up in expansion, and Calgary had taken me in the second round, and they had more, let me know that they had more than enough confidence in me, and this was kind of part of the process. And I think later in that year they ended up trading Nick to Toronto, so I was able to kind of at least be in the backup position, be on the bench, kind of see how things are going. But I think the biggest thing is just getting the shots right from the pros, and you got to find yourself a little bit, right? Like, even the younger kids that I teach now, I preach use that smaller stick because it's only going to benefit you later on, right? It's a big adjustment. I don't know if Moody kind of feels the same, but I know when I was a younger guy, the biggest switch for me was switching from that wood stick down to a little plastic one.
Same for you, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a bit shorter than Frank, so my 5-hole might be a bit smaller, so maybe a bit easier, but no, for sure. I mean, players, the way that they can shoot the ball now, I mean, you can give them an inch and they'll put the ball at that inch. So, we take all the extra equipment and smaller nets we can take. But
you think we'll ever get to that point in the CLA where they adopt full NLL rules and the wood goalie stick will kind of vanish?
I wouldn't mind if I wouldn't mind if they stick the nets the same, but maybe make everybody use a small stick. Mm-hmm. I mean, I wouldn't mind that, but just create a bit more so we're not switching back and forth all the time just for the goalies. But
just a little bit of cohesion, right? That's one of the biggest thing I talk about with some of the other goalies around the league is some of the things that maybe we struggled with and how we can kind of develop the younger generation to maybe not have those problems. I know when I went over from Langley, there was discussion of, hey, like, would you be open to go into an NLL stick? And I said, yeah, well, if everyone's doing it, then no problem, right? I think it just has to be that playing field across the board.
Frankie, you talked about getting reps and the repetition. Obviously, throughout this pandemic, that really hasn't been possible for anybody. So as goaltenders who really rely on getting those shots throughout the summer, how have you guys been staying sharp and trying to keep your game where if we do decide to start things back up, you won't really have missed a beat?
Yeah, I know for myself, I know everyone's situation is different. We have a couple outdoor boxes here, and not that we have any gatherings or anything, but maybe there's a couple people at the lacrosse box, and I've been able to put the pads on just a couple times outside. And the first time it had been a while, and I kind of thought to myself, I never really have had a break this long away from the game. And the biggest thing is staying in shape, right? Eating right, things like that. Our killer instinct to stop the ball, I don't think is ever going to go away. It's just, like you said, it's the repetition and getting the shots and finding your rhythm, right, is the big thing. And that'll be the biggest thing when we're able to finally play again, is just find that rhythm again.
Nick, when was the last time you put your pads on? Is it still that Rochester game back in March?
No, luckily throughout the summer and actually before Christmas in December, when we were allowed to have small gatherings, a bunch of St. Kitts guys and everybody were renting a rink and getting together and playing some games. So that was really nice. And we went back into lockdown, so we kind of had to stop that, but hoping we can start that back up soon. And it's actually getting nice down here. So hopefully just go to some tennis courts or outdoors and just get some shots whenever I can.
It's not still snowing in Ontario?
It stopped today. It was plus 21, but it's probably going to snow tomorrow. So
Did you say it was plus 21?
Yeah, down in Niagara. So we got warm. I actually went out and played some golf today. So
how's your golf game?
Been working on it. Hopefully that's something I'm planning on working on this summer. But
does Frankie have any golf game, Nick?
I actually don't know. I never got to golf with him. I golfed with some of the guys in San Diego, and they were actually pretty good. I don't know if Frank, I've never actually asked him.
Frank, I don't know. You'd probably have to keep me off the links for the most part. I had a bit of time actually last Saturday and played a pitch and putt. Didn't lose a ball, so I'd say that's a success.
That's always a win.
That is a win.
Yeah, otherwise I'm not the most overly confident golfer.
Yeah. We're getting to a point in the season where we're going to have to start looking towards the draft, and we have to start looking towards expansion drafts. And Frankie, you were part of the expansion draft as Calgary kind of left you unprotected and San Diego picked you up. After everything you'd been through with Calgary, was that a bit of a surprise that they protected Christian over you?
No, not necessarily, honestly. I had my chance there to kind of prove I was a starter, and I had a young guy nipping at my heels, and Delbs is a great goalie, right? And, if it was his time, it was his time. And I respected their decision. And, Calgary gave me an opportunity to come into the league. And I think I spent 6 seasons there. You don't quote me on that. But, no, I don't regret any of my time there. And I still carry some great relationships over from, those friendships. But, I kind of saw the writing on the wall, right? You're not really playing, and yeah, it's a small league, right? It happens.
Absolutely. And you get picked up by San Diego in the draft. How excited were you to talk to Patrick Merrill and understand the plan that he and Steve Govett and the staff are trying to build down there?
No, definitely. I was ecstatic. I know earlier on in the year we had Shooter come out, and he
Frankie turning
watched me out in Langley. Probably gonna whenever a new opportunity arises, you want to show your best. And one big change for me, I know I'd bug the coaches, is I was coming from snowy Calgary, and I remember going to the first training camp in San Diego, and I was almost nervous to wear my Birkenstocks. I was like, is it okay to wear sandals? Like, I'm not too, I don't know if this is going to be all right, but no, it seemed to work out great, and I've loved the fit there in San Diego. It's been a grade A organization from the top down, from Steve and Joe, and just not one bad thing to say. It's been great.
Nick, when you got the call from Patrick Merrill as a free agent from Rochester, was there any doubt that this was a place you wanted to be?
I mean, as soon as I saw that San Diego was getting the team, I always kind of had that in the back of my head that would be phenomenal to play down in San Diego, play in California. But yeah, as soon as Patty called, I was ecstatic. I mean, I knew that they had a great team. They won the playoffs. I think they lost in overtime, and they were going to build on a lot. And like Frank said, the organization top down is just top notch. So I was super happy to say, yeah, let's do it, and join San Diego. And it's been awesome ever since.
What was the nerves like for that first ever start you got?
I think it made it even better that Connor Kiernan was backing me up. So, I mean, it kind of gave me the I was going to stay in there no matter what. So whatever happened. That kind of made it a bit easier, honestly. But I was definitely nervous. But once you make your first save, you're just playing lacrosse. So it was fun.
How was he with the pads on?
I was actually surprised. I think he was a hockey goalie growing up. So he was actually pretty good. I just had to teach him how to hold his stick, and then he wasn't afraid of the ball. I mean, that was the number one thing. So he was pretty good.
Frankie, who's the worst dressed player on the team?
Worst dressed. That's a tough one. You never really want to sell anyone out on that. I'll say one thing is a guy that we used to have around who had a pretty unique style is Mikey Schlosser. Not to say it if I'm saying the last name right, but he's got some great style.
Nick, you're a little younger, maybe not as fearful of throwing guys under the bus. Who's worst dressed?
I was trying to think about it. Oh, geez, I don't even know. I don't even know if I can say anybody.
We'll flip it around. Who's best dressed?
Yeah. Honestly, Casey Jackson he's pretty fresh with everything he wears. So
he does have a vast wardrobe.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably more accurate. I think everybody on our team is honestly pretty good with style, but Casey's probably top.
Frankie, would you agree?
Yeah, I would say that. I was going to say I'd throw Glick in there too. He's always pretty fresh with what he's wearing. And I'd say Glick or Jackson for sure.
This one I think you guys would be okay with because they probably hit your toes most of the time. But which D guy has a shot that he has no idea where it's going?
I've talked to Sykesy before, and he just says he just shoots. So I might say Sykesy. But honestly, somehow he finds the back of the net a lot. He shoots low. So
if he doesn't know where he's shooting, then you can't know where he's shooting.
It makes it way harder. So.
Yeah. I'd say one for me is Drew Belgrave. He varies on me a lot, but he's always shooting toes and not always the nicest for the goalies.
No, not at all. That's a nice segue because he's pretty fast, but who's the fastest guy on the team, you think?
I'd say maybe Gobrek. He's probably up there as a speedster. Moody, what do you think?
I got to go with Connor Kiernan. No, I mean, she's just speed all day.
I'll have to get verification on that one.
He's going to love
it. I might have to do a 100-meter dash.
This one's for both. Yeah, we'll split it up. Nick, what's Frankie's biggest pet peeve, you think?
Oh, I know he hates getting, middle seat on the airplane. Anytime with the long flight, getting somebody big beside you. I mean, we're both pretty big guys, so it kind of sucks with a long flight to San Diego. We get. So,
Frankie, what's Nick's pet peeve?
Well, we room together, so not too many pet peeves. We gel pretty good. I'd say we like to get our meals in pretty promptly after, playing or practicing. And if we don't, we both probably get a little cranky.
Yeah, both naps too.
Yeah, we both big nappers and we need our meals.
Who gets this? Who's in charge of the alarm?
I am most of the time.
I'd say Moody is, yeah.
I mean, I
You
think
gotta
most
put
of the
that
time
on the
we both
younger
said
guy,
it.
right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. All the responsibility goes to the young guy.
Yeah.
Never the vet's fault.
No.
That's a 100% smart choice. What's the dynamic like between you two guys? Because obviously the goaltender position is one of the toughest in all of sport. And in the game of lacrosse, maybe even harder just because of the runs that can happen. But as you two have gotten to know each other, Nick, what's the dynamic like between you two?
I mean, me being a new guy coming to the team, I mean, Frank's, anybody who gets to know him, he's the easygoing guy. So I'm pretty easygoing, I like to think. So like you said, we just started gelling right from the start. And, any questions I have, he showed me a lot of ropes without even me having to ask, and just, kind of taught me a lot. So, we've kind of gelled right from the start, and yeah, it's been good.
Frankie, how do you keep that dynamic smooth, like, during the off season or throughout the week? How often do you guys kind of keep in contact with each other, talking about film or shooters that you're preparing for?
Yeah, I know when things were going full bore, me and Moody would be talking all the time. And, depending on who would start, I would chime in on kind of what I thought the shooters were up to and some of the tendencies that they have. Obviously, I've kind of been around just a little longer, so I kind of have picked up on some of the guys' tendencies. And, we're a team, right? So the more I can help my teammates succeed, if I can, I'm going to do that. At the end of the day, we want to win, and that's our common goal. And however we can do that, whoever's playing, that's the way it goes with our sport. You can see success with a two-headed monster with, two guys playing lots of minutes. And like I said, I'm not.
Yeah, it's sort of going to be my next question.
Sorry.
It's okay, but it's hard not to do this because I can't see you if you're still talking or not. I'm just looking at a picture of your dog right now.
Yeah, sorry, he's pretty cute, but
he is pretty cute.
I know it's not me.
He is pretty cute. You got 3 dogs, don't you? How are they?
No, I just have the one actually, and then my fiance's dad has 2. So sometimes I have the trio, but no, I just have Ernie, the little bulldog usually, and he's a handful.
I want to go back to a game, I think it was last year in Calgary, and there was an issue where you dove across the net to make a save, Frank, and the net comes off. Play continues. Calgary thinks they eventually score. It eventually gets waved off. We're not going to talk about the particulars of all that, but what I want to talk about is there is a huge concern that, nets continually come off in our sport, and it's your responsibility as a goaltender to put it back where it's supposed to be. Is there a way, do you think, safely that the nets can be moored to the floor, whether it's with a breakaway peg or magnets or something like that, so we don't run into those confused times?
Yeah, like I know they have the magnets in most arenas, and I think we're just looking out for everyone not having the nets actually bolted down to the floor. When guys are coming and crease diving across, I don't think they want to be diving into a fixed crease, nor do I want to be getting pushed into one if a guy's flying in at me. And obviously that's part of the game, and it was a break that our team needed, and I'm glad we got it.
Do you think that's something that they're continually talking about, or do you think the league as a whole is kind of happy with how it is right now?
I think that's something that it doesn't happen very often, and when it does, it's kind of a little more under the microscope than some other things. But there's always things that we can improve on, and maybe that's something that I'll look at in the future. But for me as a goalie, I'm my first thing is to stop the ball and put the net back as fast as I can.
Nick, how awesome was your experience in Vegas?
I mean, it's Vegas, so it was pretty awesome. It was on Super Bowl weekend too.
Yeah.
I mean, plus we got the win, so it doesn't get much better. I mean, that's a recipe for success. So
was that your first time in Vegas?
Actually, when I drove out to San Diego and I went through, stopped the week before, but then that was really, I'd say, my first time in Vegas. So I mean, it's Vegas, so you gotta you got to be there to know what Vegas is like. So
yeah, but as a lacrosse player, you help break barriers of being in the first ever game there and being the first goalie to win a game there, and everything that surrounded. How cool was that experience to see the fans there and how they supported the National Lacrosse League?
yeah, it was a great turnout with fans. I mean, they were all just happy to be there. They were supportive. So I mean, they really were a big part of why we won. You feed off the energy of the fans. So we were just happy to get a win there for them. And, it's going to just be great for lacrosse in general to expose more people to the game as we can. That's the best thing that can happen for the game.
There was a good amount of fans that did make that trek from San Diego to Vegas. Frankie, you've been there since the start. How cool is it to see how invested these fans are in the National Lacrosse League and in the Seals, and what Steve and Joe and Patrick are doing as a staff to make lacrosse big in Southern California?
Yeah, I think it's huge. When we first started, when I think our first game, we had a pretty decent turnout, and after that, it kind of dwindled down a bit. But over the last little bit with our successes, you find more people coming in and kind of hearing about the noise in town, about the new team. And, lacrosse is new to a lot of people down there, to expose them to a great product that, Joe and Steve and I know Cam and Bergie in the office are really trying to put that product on the floor. And by putting that product on the floor, it's really, putting lacrosse in the forefront. And I think that's what we all want. We all want to see this sport grow, and we want to grow with it.
Nick got the start in Vegas. How much were you looking forward to that start in the Air Force Base at Miramar?
Yeah, Miramar was going to be awesome. I mean, I think that was the first place that COVID people were being quarantined. So it was kind of destined to kind of get turned out. I mean, we were trying to make it happen outdoors. I mean, playing outdoors would have been phenomenal. You see like NHL playing these outdoor games and how much attention they get, and how cool it would be to just, play outdoors. But it sucked that it couldn't happen. But, I hopefully we can do that in the future. And I know they're going to try and plan to do something like that. So hopefully, it can happen.
Frank, you've been, like I said, with this Seals from the start. Watching Patrick Merrill and Josh Sanderson and Bill Greer as a coaching staff, how impressed are you with what they bring to the game night in and night out?
Oh, it's second to none. All of them are competitors. There's not a bad thing I can say about any of those guys. I got to talk to Billy a little while back and just got to touch base with them. And Patty and Shoot and Billy, if you watch them as players, you knew what kind of gamers they were. And playing for them, it's easy to go through the wall for them. They don't expect a lot. They just expect your best effort when you go out there, right? And that's what should be expected of you. And I love playing for them. They're coaches, players. They're not going to be afraid to tell you how it is. They don't hide anything from you. And I've loved every second I've been able to kind of absorb and learn off of all of those guys, because to me they're all Hall of Famers.
Mm-hmm. They probably don't yell as much as Kurt Milosky, though, do they?
No, but every coach is different, right?
That's absolutely true. It's absolutely true. Nick, what have you liked most about those three guys?
I think they all kind of have their own unique coaching style, which, when you put them all together, that's what makes them so great. Mm-hmm. Billy's a bit more laid back, but like you said, he still expects you to, do your best. Patty's really intense and, wears his heart on his sleeve, but, he'll tell you like it is. He'll tell you when you play a great game. He'll tell you when you're not so great, but he's the first person in your corner, to get you out of a rut. And Shooter, like one of the best offensive players to ever play, and just, seeing his mind and how he teaches and gets that offense going. It's phenomenal.
As an Ontario kid that probably grew up watching a lot of Toronto Rock games, and Josh Sanderson being a major proponent of those Rock teams, how cool is it to kind of be in between the pipes and stopping his shots in practice and warm-ups and stuff like that?
I mean, he's still got it. He's still
Right?
his shot when he's on the crease. He's probably probably stopped one or two of his shots. So
what's that, Frankie?
Let him play on the crease. I think he could still play.
Yeah, right.
If he wanted to.
Yeah, he's still got the hands, and he's just, seeing some of the moves that he used to throw on goalies, he's throwing on you and still work, even though it's coming. So
yeah, absolutely. Do you think goaltenders are underpaid or undervalued in this league because of how important they are?
I think goalies in just about every league are kind of underappreciated. I mean, I think there's not much more that goes into winning than, how a goalie's going to perform during that game. If a goalie has a bad game, your offense has got to score a lot or your defense has got to bail you out. So, I think Blaze Reardon posted something on social media a while ago and about how, underappreciated goalies are, and it couldn't have been more true.
Frankie, you've been in this league a while. Obviously, the salaries of players have kind of escalated over the last few years, but obviously the goaltender position maybe isn't paid where it should be. But do you think the league is getting to a position where that position will be valued as such?
I feel like, most of the goalies are getting paid fair, and you see some of those guys that are at the elite and they're getting taken care of. But like you said, as this league grows, there's going to be a demand in our position for guys to be able to step up and be able to play minutes, right? And we'll kind of see how that develops as more expansion comes in. But for me personally, the position, you're always under a microscope, maybe even more so than a defender or an offensive guy, because there's only one of us out there and there's only one person saving the ball, right? And if you're not saving it, you're going to hear about it, and if you are saving it, you're probably going to be here and you're doing a good job. So it's the tough part about our position, but it's something that I enjoy. When someone's maybe dogging on you, you want to try and play your best even more. So.
How's your dad doing, Frankie? Because I know he's been a huge fan of yours throughout. I always see him at the rinks over on the mainland, and he even made the trip to Vegas. But he's been a big fan of yours and support of yours, and a big proponent for the game of lacrosse. But how's he doing these days? Yeah,
he's doing good. Staying safe. He's pretty just in his routine of work and home, and I'm sure he misses the rink. And I was able to, the restrictions kind of loosened up, and I've been able to kind of coach a bit. And he was even trying to chomp at the bit. Hey, you think I can kind of watch some of these young kids? And I kind of had to break it to him. I'm like, hey, like we're not allowed anyone in the arena right now. And, I know he misses it. He's my biggest supporter, and any WLA game, you can find him in there, and he knows every player. The man never played the game himself, but, he's really absorbed a lot over watching me and just being a fan of the sport.
Same goes for you, Nick. Obviously, your parents are big supporters of yours. I see them all over your social media, pictures in your Team Canada junior jersey and your St. Catharines jerseys. What's it like being, as best you can to be around your family during this pandemic?
Yeah, I'm living at home right now, so it's nice to get to see them all the time. Don't have to have any restrictions from seeing them, but I know they're feeling the same as me. Just they miss lacrosse. Probably they might miss lacrosse more than I do. They've been at every single one of my games since I was little, and they just want to have COVID like the rest of us get over with, and so we can get back playing with some lacrosse.
Back in San Diego and Pechanga Arena and Knockaround Field, that's where we all want to be. Two more questions to go. Nick, what's the first place I got to go to when I get to San Diego?
There's a bunch. If you haven't been to San Diego, you got to go to Knockaround Field and see what it's like there. I mean, you got to be there at, when we have late practices and see the sunset. I mean, it's pretty phenomenal. But other than that, Pacific Beach is pretty awesome down there. Getting same thing, just it's everywhere in San Diego is phenomenal. So
Frankie, what are you most looking forward to when all this is over and we can travel again and we can all get together? What are you most looking forward to about when you get to San Diego?
Honestly, the one thing I say the most is seeing the guys and being part about that team aspect. I know, we've had a bit of time away from this game, and I've been fortunate enough to play it as long as I can. And this has kind of been, a point for me where I've kind of had time to kind of reflect, and, you miss the sport, and you see guys leave your team each year. Guys have different reasons, family and kids and stuff like that, which, takes them away from this game. And for me, just with COVID and everything and the time I've had to kind of reflect on my career so far, the thing that I would look forward to the most coming back is being part of that team aspect and, being one of the boys and having that relationship and that, that time back, where right now we're not really getting that.
It will be awesome to do a full team huddle at center field as the sun sets, a knock around field with you fellas. I can't wait till that moment happens again. Nick, Frank, I appreciate this. Really enjoyed getting to talk to you guys. Stay safe, and we'll talk to you soon, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Teddy. Enjoyed it.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Teddy.